All right, welcome back. This is another episode where I'm talking about myself because there's been a big blow to the podcast this week. So I think I'm kind of tired of talking about this story already because it's just been ruminating in my head, and I've been talking about this to the people in my life. But it's just been really demotivating because I had all my equipment stolen. All my brand new, very expensive filmmaking and podcasting equipment I was using to film this podcast, and I was so the stories. I was in Poland, went to Poland to go to basically an English immersion summer camp, where I was hanging out and teaching English to kids in Poland, and it was a great time. Met a lot of cool people. Had even recorded a podcast out there with some of the great people that I met. And then on my way back, the overnight train from Poland back to Budapest, Hungary, I was in a cabin with a couple other people, and long story short, I woke up because I fell asleep because it was in the middle of the night. With a camera bag literally right next to me, touching me, and then I woke up and it wasn't there anymore. And it was a big blow because that had it had my camera, it had my lens, it had my external portable mics, all my filters, and memory cards and everything. It was, over $4,000 worth of gear. So it was a big chunk of my life and of money that just got ripped from me. So, and I was, I'd really invested that money into making the show better. And it's just something that I really was not too stoked about, but I'm doing my best to keep positive. I think these sorts of things are things that happen for a reason, even if I can't figure out quite yet what that reason was for. But it's not going to stop me from making things that I want to make, which is the main point of everything, right? And one day I'll look back on this and laugh about it. But right now it's still pretty fresh. It's been about a week, and it's just this past week has been me dealing with figuring out, getting a police report, filing insurance claims, but that's very minimal money because I didn't have anything insured, and I just trying to figure out some way to make anything back from it, and just me thinking about how to proceed without any gear again, or at least minimal gear. I still have this, which is my Rodecaster, which is what I record on to talk normally when I'm not traveling. But, so, I mean, it was a big blow. It's been a big blow. I'm just trying to figure out what to do next. And it is something that I find a bit confusing because I'm not really sure what to do. This is, it's been, just kind of been demotivating, and especially, disheartening because, I had such a direction that I was trying to forge for myself, in what I was doing, for my podcast and on YouTube, and everything. And so that was it's kind of sad to see it all go in the blink of an eye. So, especially because I had all just acquired that equipment three months ago, about 3.5 months ago, and so learning a lot. I mean, nothing takes away from the learning that I've had and experienced, and the learning that I've gone through using it and trying to figure out how to make something look good. And I was planning on doing short films and documentaries possibly. So yeah, it was just very disheartening and demotivating. And so this whole week I've been pretty demotivated to do anything. But I found the strength to do this podcast on, I don't really know what I'm going to be saying. I just wanted to kind of express my opinion on what I've been thinking about, because I don't really know what I should be thinking about. I think this is one of those things where I have to change a direction forcibly, because what I've been doing was I was getting so focused in one thing, and I don't want it to be at the expense of other things. And so I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get back on track on now, is making sure that the one thing that whatever direction I switch to now, or whatever direction I shouldn't say switch to, but whatever direction that is I am headed towards now, it's one that I think will continue to benefit what I'm trying to do. And so what I'm trying to do here is have conversations about love, about death, about what it means to pursue a life well lived, and I want to know what it looks like for other people, and I want to discover that along the way for myself. And that's always been what this podcast has been about. So I want to, again, I was getting, I think, so wrapped up in the film part of it, where I was letting some parts of, I was getting so wrapped up in like the aesthetic and how it looked, and it was all great, and I was making sure that was an important piece of what I wanted to do, and I don't regret any of it. And so now I want to kind of get back to basics, is basically what I'm trying to say, is like kind of establish myself again with this show and what it's about, why I did it in the first place, why I've continued to do it, and how to continue moving forward without the nice gear I had until I can at some point reacquire that. And so, yeah, it's been me thinking about how to get back to the foundational ideas and principles that I wanted to set out when I started this show. And I think for myself, I've been just really giving myself a lot of hardship about like not knowing what to do. But I think because I was just so focused on one direction, I was just such on a train headed full speed ahead in one direction. And then all of a sudden overnight, I no longer had that direction. And then now I'm like, okay, well, where do I go now? And so it's like me reorienting myself to then reorient the show to go do something else. But I mean, the show has always been more than just like the show. The show is like how I'm trying to orient my life as well. So it's especially intermingled in that way. And I think it gets kind of complicated, because that is what I am trying to do, not only for myself as a person who wants to do this more and more and bigger and better, and hopefully with more of a community and with more of how I want to orient my career and stuff like that. And then now having to readjust a significant portion of what I'm doing now to something else. Not something else, rather, but in a different direction, or along a different path than the one I was currently heading along down. And it doesn't mean like nothing stops. I still have a camera on my phone, and I still have, mics and stuff, and I can still always record podcasts. So it's not like I'm going to be completely switching anything. It's just a matter of like how I do it. And I think that's the main question, is how do I now do it a different way. And I thought about like doing just audio only, but I also really do like filming, but I also don't like filming on an iPhone because I think it looks bad. And I think something for me is I can make it look better, make it look as best as I can. But there's a reason why I was willing to like invest in so much gear and so much money into something that I really cared about. And I also like filming generally for other things. And, was trying to do maybe some freelance work and stuff like that. So with my camera and that was like, it's all fine and dandy and you could always do more. And I was obviously like very aware of my privilege to be able to have, afforded to buy the camera and gear in the first place. But, I don't, so I consider myself lucky that I had it. And then I'm just trying to figure out like a way to figure it out in the interim of me not having this. And so, yeah, it's just like, first world problems, I guess. But, I thought, I've been thinking like I want this show to be something important to myself and hopefully to other people listening where you can gain something, if not, if only just hearing stories about other people and what they've been going through and how they've struggled and how they've, learned to love and learned to contemplate about some of the big questions that I like talking about and everyone else thinks about. And we're all in this world together and trying to figure it out together. And so that's my main concern. And I think that always has to be my main concern. Because if I let that slip, it doesn't really accomplish what I've set out to accomplish. And so, the visual element is but one piece of that. And yes, that is no longer my main priority right now. But that doesn't mean that the actual core of the show is not one that I can still be immensely proud of to offer. And I'm not going to stop. Like, it's never been me stopping. I never once considered stopping. It's not even an option for me because I love doing it so much and that's what I want to do. And that is why I am talking right now in a microphone, even though I have been immensely unmotivated and not wanting to talk into the microphone because it's just kind of something I've been dreading to do. But yeah, I think this is cathartic. It's always kind of cathartic in a way for me to just kind of get out my thoughts and ideas out there when I don't have anyone to talk to right now, because it's also been pretty difficult trying to find people out here to talk to because I live in Hungary and it's not impossible, but especially after I don't know, losing episodes and with my gear and also as well as like trying to talk to people out here, which I have been trying to do, get more and more people that are interested in talking about the same things that I'm talking about. I think that's it can be proved difficult. And so that's what I'm dealing with. I don't really know where the direction of this is going to go. I'm just talking into a mic, but that's just every episode, right? But, I think this is one of those things where, people who do what they want to do and are pursuing the goals they want to pursue, there's roadblocks and it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if like, this is my thing. I just do a podcast. I like to film things, but other people like to do other amazing, incredible things. And I think that's awesome. And I think it's great. But at the same time, there are roadblocks and there are hurdles that each individual person faces and I'm speaking more in terms of, orienting their like careers and stuff. Because obviously this applies broadly, but in this circumstance, it's more about the career element of things. But yeah, there's roadblocks everyone faces, and there's obstacles in which they are more difficult to kind of get through, and it kind of sucks because you know that they're coming, you just don't know what they look like, and this was one of them that was a pretty big hit over my head for what I wanted to do. And so it is with that in mind that I try to keep a positive attitude about all of this and try to move forward in a way in which I can still be proud of what I'm doing, but maybe just have to get a bit more creative because whatever I put out, I know I want it to be the best it can be. And right now, I'm filming back on the iPhone, my phone, and it's fine. And it does the job. And at the end of the day, it's not about, the way it looks, but also at the same time it is, because it's something that was important to me. And if you're listening to this, I guess, if you're listening to this, it's either you know me or you found this somehow, and it is something that is created, and it is a piece of content that is put out there. And at the end of the day, life is not about listening to some guy talk on a microphone, but for me, creating these sorts of things is important, and I want to make it look as best as I can. I want to make it sound as best as I can. I want to make the conversations as introspective and important and meaningful as I possibly can make them. And with that, I don't need a fancy camera, but at the same time, it's something that I really felt was important. And so I don't know what I'm going to do with this footage. It's probably going to look cool. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a podcast. Most people just put it, on just put it on their phone and don't even watch. So that's another factor. But I like filmmaking, and I like films, and I like making things like that. And so, editing videos and things. So yeah, I think regardless, I think this kind of point of me talking about what I've lost is I'm kind of over it, because I don't really, it's not that I don't care. It's just that I'm just kind of done thinking about it and talking about it, because there's really nothing I could do, and I'm just ready to figure out something else, and how to move forward, because there's nothing I can do about it. And if there's nothing you can do about it, what's the point in ruminating over it? Like, there is something you could do about it. And yeah, that's my attitude right now about what has happened, because what else am I supposed to do? And I have to move on. I have to move forward. And so, I don't know, maybe I figure out some way to do audio only, but make it look somewhat visually aesthetic. I don't know. I mean, I guess that doesn't really make sense. But, audio first, but video, there's some video element, I should say. I think that might be something. If anybody is watching or listening, and you have any ideas, send them my way. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where you have to figure out, it's a roll with the punches. And I've always been good at that. Roll it with the punches. And I'm keeping positive. I'm not going to let this affect my, I can't let it affect my personal happiness in life. But, and I don't want to, I'm not angry. This is something I wanted to talk about. Is I don't blame anybody. The person who stole my gear is just kind of, I'm not going to be mad at them, because they're in a life and they're in a position where they felt that was something that maybe not was necessarily right, but something that they felt they needed to do to get by. And maybe they've lived their entire life like that, or maybe these are just this was a circumstance in their life where they felt that was the best option for them. And it just kind of brings up broader topics of what it is like to, what is it like to steal? What is it like to take something away from somebody, and how does that affect somebody else? And this isn't just like, my first world problem of losing a camera. It's, you could apply this to many things in life and many other areas of the world in which there are people out there who are struggling much, 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 much more than I am. And yeah, it's just crappy. And I have to realize that, I'm still very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in. And this person who did take my stuff, I'm not mad at them. I'm not upset. I'm just kind of just more frustrated at the situation rather than I'm not mad at the person. I am constantly trying to remain as much as open-hearted as I can and loving as I can. And, this person is, whoever decided to take my stuff, is somebody that I feel still is deserving of love, because everyone is. And that's what I am trying to hammer in myself, to not, let this turn me into somebody who's like jaded about certain things or certain people, because that's not good either. So, yeah, I think that's very, very, very important thing that I wanted to address. Just the fact that I'm not going to be angry about anything. Because, people are born into the life they're born into, with the family that they have or lack thereof. And they feel and they grow up in a world in which there are things that they feel are more or less right to do. And that's just who they are, and that's just what they were born into. And, those aren't things you necessarily have to agree with from an objective outside perspective, but I think it's just important to remember to put yourself in their shoes and to see how they see it. Doesn't make it right or doesn't make it wrong either. It's just that's how people see the world, and they see it differently than you do. And it's important to remember that, because it brings a big sense of empathy and relation to other people that you wouldn't necessarily have if you never thought about it. And so I'm constantly trying to remember and remind myself of those things before I start getting angry or feeling frustrated or feeling whatever about any situation, especially involving other people. So yeah, I'm kind of burnt out on talking about this. I mean, it's just kind of like annoying at this point for myself to keep thinking and talking about this thing. And I doubt many people really want to hear about it. So, there will be more conversations. There will be more things. And there's things in the works for me that are exciting, that I can't really say anything on. But hopefully some things work out. And we'll see where it goes from here. The look is going to change. What it is will remain the same in terms of talking about life, talking about death, talking about philosophy and discussions on meaning and what it means to pursue a life well lived, and what it means to exist, and how do we do it together, and where does it all lead to, if anything? Because I love other people's answers, and I love people's discussions on these sorts of things. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of talking right now. And I also appreciate anybody who has listened this far, if you have. So this is my ramblings. I really hope that, because I feel bad because the last episode, I guess 2 weeks ago, well, right before 2 weeks ago, well, a couple of weeks ago, when I when I released the Poland update video, I said there was an episode that was going to come out last week, and it didn't come out because that was an episode that got lost when my stuff got taken. So apologize about that. And I apologize about this week because, again, it's just me talking into a mic. But, this podcast is really just at this point, it's just turned into my own self-reflection. And add points. So we will continue. We will continue on. We will strive forward and see where it leads us and keep marching forward, because what else am I going to do? Lay down and die? No. I can't let this stop me. I don't know what could, but it's more than this. So yeah, I'm going to stop umming. I'm going to stop eyeing, and I'm going to stop recording this because, music rec. I think I need a music rec before. Music recommendation. I can't look at my phone because my camera is my phone. Music recommendations I have one at least, Tape Waves. I will link them in the description. They are in the Spotify playlist, which I do update regularly. Links are in the description. The Existence Podcast playlist. Check that out. Tape Waves. What is the name of the song? I cannot remember, but I will link it, and it's a great song. It's like I really love Black Marble, which I've mentioned here before. They are more of like a atmospheric electronic synth, dark wave sort of music genre, band, artist. I don't know how to speak, and they're really good. It's music that I really like, that type of genre, and I think that the way they put sounds together makes me feel like I am, makes me feel like I'm much smaller and much bigger at the same time. Puts me in a headspace which allows me to think differently and with more of a clear mind about existence. And I think that's why I like it so much. So that's all I got. This is the episode. This is me, Evan Leal. If this is your first time hearing me, this isn't normally what's on the show, but this is what's going on today. Yes. I apologize about anything I did wrong, but this is what we got. So thank you for listening. I love you all, and I hope that your day is a good day, because we can't let the small things bother us. All right, bye.